Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today I'm going to be playing Command, Modern Air and Naval Operations once again. We're picking off where we left off last time after destroying several radar installations and an SA-5 battery down here to the south. We have basically launched off the majority of our early cruise missiles. We've got one reload worth of missiles that we're currently loading onto our 4 bombers that had launched their strikes already. We, in addition to destroying several radar installations and some surface-to-air missiles, we also destroyed 2 enemy Mig-29s, which ventured a little bit too far into Armenia, and decided to engage 2 of our own Mig-29s, who shot them down without loss. So far things are going all right. Our allocation of resources is a little bit liberal in that we've used quite a few weapons for not a terribly large amount of results, but also thus far we haven't been hit too hard in terms of losses of our own. All we've done is expend equipment, and now we're kind of waiting for our bombers to reload. That'll take about 20 hours. We could easily fast forward to then and just launch another massive missile strike, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think what my next objective is going to be, my main strategy, which I have not really talked about it yet here, is to destroy the enemy radar installations first. That's my first strategy. Once we destroy the enemy radar sites, it'll make it much more difficult for the Azerbaijani defense to direct their fighter aircraft. You can see here 2 of these are likely their fighter aircraft. They're unidentified bogies, but they're flying over Azerbaijani airspace, so they are almost certainly enemy fighter aircraft. So one of the things that'll make it a lot easier for us to bomb Azerbaijan is if we take out all of their regular fixed radar installations, then their fighter aircraft won't have direction, basically, when our planes are flying over them, to be vectored against our own strikes. So it'll make that a lot easier to deal with. In addition to that, it will also make it easier to deal with the enemy's surface-to-air missiles in the south, because they won't have radar coverage to bounce off of. So the way that a lot of surface-to-air missile systems work is the fixed radar installations can feed information to the mobile radar sites, like these question marks down here, which are undoubtedly SA-10s and potentially SA-4s, or S-300s, I'm sorry, and SA-4s, which are mobile enemy radar platforms. These fixed radar installations can send their information here, so these guys don't have to turn their radars on, remain hidden, and can fire their weapons without giving away their position, or without giving away too much of their position. By destroying several of these enemy radars, the enemy has started to give away their general position. That's why there's question marks in these little ovals here. So we've got an idea that the enemy weapons are down here, but the more of these radar installations that we take out, the less effective these are going to be unless they turn on their radars full time, which will make them much easier targets for us and allow us to target them directly with the next wave of cruise missile strikes. So to continue our reduction of the Azerbaijani force, my next plan is somewhat limited in scope. I want to go ahead and take out this radar installation, the radar Tin Shield B. It's the last enemy radar installation in the north. We took out the rest of them around the various air bases here, and it's also going to be easier to strike. It's further away from where the enemy fighters are. It's on the fringe of their SAM coverage. These SA-10s, which have very long surface-to-air missile ranges, are going to find it more difficult to target up here, especially in the mountainous terrains. And the other enemy weapon systems aren't going to be able to fire, because the weapon I'm going to use is going to have a standoff range that we can fire it from around here without using up our valuable bomber cruise missiles. If we take this out and have remaining missiles left, we may direct them against the SA-3 and SA-2 weapon systems in the north. They're not our primary targets, but they may make life easier if we can kind of clear a corridor here through the north of Azerbaijan to let our forces in Armenia and Russia cooperate more effectively. Now, what are we going to use against these sites? Well, if we move north here, we will see we've got an airbase in Aktabushka, however you pronounce that airbase. And if we go and take a look at the aircraft here, we've got quite a few. We've got a Su-27 MP Fencer, which are loaded with electronic countermeasures. We're going to take one of those. We're also going to, we're going to ignore these Su-24s. The Su-34 fullbacks, we're going to pull 2 of these off. They're each going to be carrying some AS-17 weapons. The Su-34 is a strike aircraft. The AS-17 has a 60 nautical mile range. It is a air-to-surface weapon with a, let's see here, do we have, it has a 90 kilogram warhead. And the aircraft is loaded up with, how many of these? 4 of these AS-17s. So what we'll probably do is we'll probably fire 4 of them off at that radar installation, leave 4 on the second aircraft, and if they all hit, we'll fire 4 off against the SAM site, hopefully reducing its coverage. The other reason we'd want to target the SAM site, they do have radars of their own. You can see here when we click on this SAM site, there's this white area around here which indicates enemy radar coverage, although not range. So that's another good reason we'd want to take them out. In addition to those, we're going to bring 2 Su-34s south for that. That'll leave the other 2 parked. We're going to ignore the tankers at the moment. We're going to bring 6 Su-27 fighter aircraft to the south as well, which also happen to be carrying defense electronic countermeasures. But we're going to bring 6 of those in case the enemy scramble a large number of fighters against us. That way we'll be prepared. The Su-27 should be better at air-to-air fighting than any of the other enemy fighters that they have. It should be able to outperform the Mig-29, although its key range is endurance. So what we're first going to do is we're going to get these fighters airborne, and then we're going to fly them south to Mozadak, where they're going to briefly stop, refuel, and then strike from there. Should also getting them out of the air means that even though they may be picked up on enemy radars, as you can see here, oh, actually no, they will be picked up by the enemy radar here in the south. Oh, is that it? Maybe not. I don't know. This indicates they'll be picked up by radars somehow of the enemy, in which case they'll disappear when they land at Mozadak, so the enemy won't be able to vector aircraft. My general strategy is going to be sending the strike aircraft down south here. We'll leave the fighters a little bit further north, and if the enemy does direct fighters toward them, we'll have them bug out back toward Mozadak, and then we'll have the fighters swoop in south to engage the enemy fighters. And should we end up successful or driving the enemy fighters off, then the attack aircraft can return south if they have not yet fired off their weapons. That's the general strategy involved in this strike. We also will be, where is it? Oh, don't forget about that. So we're going to go ahead and launch just one of the ECM planes. This is just a temporary redeployment because we don't have any weapons that we can really use further south. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Mozadak is also another reason I'm relocating there, is it does have, that's not what I want, it does have one Su-24 fencer with an ELINT pod, that is an electronic intelligence networking targeting pod, I don't know, something like that. Basically it detects enemy weapon systems, so if the enemy does switch its radars on and does attempt to engage us with its SA-10s down here, the aircraft should be able to get a good fix on the exact location and type of enemy weapons, thus giving us a better advantage and ability to target the enemy directly with our own cruise missile aircraft. So we're going to go ahead and wait on that. Now we're going to go ahead and start the game back up. We'll jump ahead a little bit till the aircraft are airborne. And yeah, so there we can see we've got this enemy, or we've got this group airborne. It is the 6 Su-27 flankers. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and give them orders. We're going to go ahead and select a new home base. We're going to make that Mozadak. You can see here a little update here. Unit 1 of 6 have switched to, okay, so they're not all airborne yet, are they? Unit orders. Select new home base. Why is it only saying 1? Whatever, we're going to plot them further south, and then we'll worry about that later once they get a little bit closer. So we're going to go ahead and plot them south. We've also got some new aircraft up in the air. So these groups are going to go ahead and, again, select their new home base. Why is it only saying 1 out of 6? And this group has switched their primary base. I am confused. Oops. All right, so we're getting these aircraft heading south to Mozadak, mainly just to get a fresh coat of fuel, essentially. They've got plenty of fuel here, you can see. We've got a little unit fuel briefing icon there. And at the very least, the Su-27 has quite a bit of fuel. They can fly for a ways, but it's just easier, in my opinion, if we make sure that they all land and refuel so that they're at their max. Why are these guys flying north? Makes no sense to me. So, well, that worked. I don't know why it took me doing that, but anyway, it worked. So they're all flying here down to this airbase, which should have sufficient fuel to resupply, although there's no weapons in the ammo depots for that. So we can see they're heading down south and landing, and taking their time to land. There they go. Okay. Again, fighter aircraft don't have the longest range. I do have mid-air refueling aircraft there, but it's just easier if we land them. So we can see here these Su-27 flankers are readying. They'll be ready in about 2 hours. Oh darn, the ECM aircraft's going to take 6 hours to be ready? 6 hours for the strike aircraft too? Huh. Alright, well I guess we're going to have to fast forward a bit of time. So we'll go ahead and, we're at 2,300 hours, so I guess it'll be somewhat of an early morning strike. Just fast forwarding at the times 30, we can see the enemy is sending aircraft to the verge of our border. I could take the bait and engage them, but I'm kind of lazy, don't feel like doing that. They're basically teasing our air defenses down here right along the border of where we have them. So those fighters may have to be dealt with if they're going to keep doing that by the time our strike is ready. Like I said, we should be ready around 6 o'clock. You can see there our fighter aircraft are ready already. And what we'll probably do is we'll send 2 as direct escorts. We'll keep 2 up in the air to the north, and then we'll keep 2 more on ready standby to scramble to their aid. And just a few more hours here as we kind of wait for this time to speed by. We'll prepare our second launch. You can see these aircraft are becoming ready. So we'll slow time down. Not sure if they're all ready yet. The Su-37s aren't ready for a while, darn. Well, what all just became ready? Just said at Mozadak. Oh, those were at Garibaldi, so those are the MiGs we used earlier. All right. So a few more hours to wait. Not much else we're going to do, but again, game does a nice job of allowing us to speed forward, if you will, as the enemy continues to just decide to fly around here and tempt us. It doesn't look like the enemy has any other aircraft that are airborne. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Do we have our... Those are mid-air refueling. Pretty sure we've got a mainstay. There we go. So we're going to launch a mainstay airborne early warning radar aircraft. We're going to fly them down to Mozadak. And actually, we're gonna change their home base to be Mozadak. I'm sure I'm butchering the pronunciation, but now the AWACS should have plenty of fuel to just kind of idle for quite a long time. You can see here its fuel is pretty substantial. It's flying and barely burning anything. So I don't know if it'll be able to stay idle for 6 hours, but I think it should be good. It's pretty darn slow too. Looks like the enemy scrambled a few more. No, they just changed shifts. So it looks like they've got a permanent cap of 2 aircraft here along the border. They definitely don't want to lose those radar installations, or so it would seem. Aircraft moving at 40,000 feet. And here we go, getting close. See, it doesn't even look like they've used up a fifth of their fuel yet. And they've flown for quite a while. So it's got 15 more hours of bingo fuel at current fuel consumption. So we can basically just leave them up here and plot a course around this airbase. Okay, so we're just going to do that. They're just going to kind of stay up there. Interesting. Let's go to their, whoops. Let's go to their sensors. So if we right click here, we can go see their sensors, or you can hit F9. An airborne early warning aircraft. Doesn't have offensive ECMs. Does have a radar. Oops. And then what we want to do on the map settings, show. They have turned their sensors on, right? Sensors. No, they keep turning. Oh, units obey ECOM. Disables manual sensor control. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and turn the radars on, and there you go. You can see the enemy is now going to know we've got an AWACS up here near this airbase, because they're going to be able to see this radar signal that it's putting out. But the nice thing is, if we're launching a strike against these bases here in the north, with this AWACS aircraft up here, we're going to be able to see anything that takes place within this range, assuming it's not stealth or hidden by terrain or anything like that. So we now know that the enemy has 2 fighter aircraft here. We already knew that before, but we've got a better picture of the situation now. And if enemy aircraft are trying to intercept our planes before they arrive, we will know that as well. So we can see here we're fast forwarding a little bit, and our aircraft will venture south a bit and give us a better picture here. It also does have some ELINT capability, although not a ton. ELINT allows us to detect enemy, basically generic ESM, enemy signals that they're putting out, and thus identify enemy weapons and the likes. So we don't have sonar. We don't really have ECM either. They have Mark 1 eyeball, which basically just means a pilot sticking his head outside. Well, not really outside, but having a pilot just kind of watch what's going on. So we're still waiting for the enemy to... well, looks like we spotted some enemy fighter aircraft this direction. Are they scrambling something north? Was the enemy sending fighter aircraft after me? Huh. Okay, so the enemy appears to be sending fighter aircraft north after my AWACS. This is the time to panic, maybe? There's 4 fighter aircraft. I'm not sure I like these odds. I don't want to get our fighters in a battle they can't win. This definitely is changing the situation a bit. So what we're going to do here, though, is we are going to scramble these guys. We're going to scramble in 2 groups of 3. They'll be up in just a few minutes. We could turn our radar off. That would make it more... Oh, no, they're going to turn back. God damn it. So, but maybe we can goad them back. Actually, if we replot our course south, the enemy may have seen us moving north. We may have moved just outside their radar range. Okay. Interesting. I don't know what to make of that. Now I'm going to have to wait another flippin' 2 hours. Either way, we cause the enemy to scramble some of their own fighters. Although we scrambled our own. Alright. That was my own mistake. We're going to RTB these guys. I assume this AWACS is going to take a while. Actually, I don't want to RTB him. I don't want to RTB him because he probably has a really long... If you want to think about it in kind of MMO terms, probably a really long cooldown. Wait, is he landing anyway? Ah, shoot. Alright. What's the cooldown for him? Oh, taxiing to parking spot, so he's not going to be ready as soon as he taxis. Huh. Okay. Mainstay. 25 minutes. Okay, that's not bad. So he'll be ready in about 25 minutes. The flankers will be ready in 2 hours. The fencers aren't. One of them's already. The other fencer's ready in 41 minutes. And these guys are... Okay, so we just have to wait 2 more hours and we'll be good to go ahead and strike. So we'll go ahead and quickly fast forward the 2 hours. And again, the enemy's going to have to wait 2 hours as well. So those fighter aircraft are pretty much done for now. You can see, you can kind of judge from that little bit there, a little bit of the kind of cat and mouse nature of this type of game. Having an AWACS should give us an advantage. Should. So those guys are ready. Ready. You can see there the enemy's switched shifts again. So we should be just about ready to go with this strike. Let's see here. We've got AWACS is ready. The flankers, 20 more minutes. Okay. You know, one thing that's interesting is the game does model weapons and magazines. It doesn't really model fuel. That would be kind of nice. So we speed forward here in time. Ready, ready, ready. All right. So we should be just about ready for this strike of ours. By the time it's over, we'll be more or less ready for our strike with our cruise missile armed bombers as well. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to launch our AWACS. We'll get that up in the air first. And we're going to give it some orders to basically just fly around. I don't know what that big yellow triangle or circle is. Oh, I'm guessing that's the current radar range versus the maximum theoretical, which would probably be the white. Okay, so it's airborne. Maybe that airbase didn't have fuel. I don't know, it's still... Oh no, it's going to have a longer time as it gets up to altitude. So it's still climbing. Anyway, so sensors. And you don't have to micromanage all of this. It's just something that I'm doing myself. All right, so we'll make sure that the enemy doesn't send fighters up against us here real quick. We'll let it fly around for a bit. Just so they get used to us up here at 40,000 feet. You can see the enemy is sending aircraft this direction again. We'll go ahead and plot these guys a little bit away from the airbase. They're going to send more guys up, then we'll get our aircraft airborne, but I don't think they will. That might be at their max range too, fuel-wise. All right, so you can see there the enemy didn't do anything with those fighters, just kind of sent a token effort. And then when we're done with this last plotted range, we'll start launching our strike aircraft. So the enemy does have quite a few fighter aircraft currently airborne, basically crossing into our airspace. And then turning back. Huh. I'm half tempted to send my fighters south to engage them. Just as kind of a lesson. Let's see here. Man, they are going far into our flight zone. Su-27s. 3 of them. Oh, let's launch a group of 4. We'll outnumber them 2-1, and if they turn back, well, we've got our fighters up in the air. Okay, so plot course. These guys, I don't know what one of them... They don't have the longest range, do they? All right. Plot course. Then we're going to go ahead and get our other aircraft up now. So we want to get our ELINT, or our ECM plane up. Then we'll get our ELINT aircraft up, followed by our Su-27s. Hostile enemy aircraft. We've identified them as Mig-29 C Fulcrums. So, what we're actually going to do... Attack orders. Engage targets. We're going to give them auto-engage orders. Engage the MiG-29s. Classified as MiG-29 Fulcrum. So launching that ELINT aircraft immediately gave us a positive ID on the enemy aircraft. We're going to ignore our plot. Whoops. Ignore that. Then we're going to go ahead and attack. Auto. There. Okay, so we've got these aircraft incoming. These enemy aircraft are closing range. Quick. SA-4 attacking Fulcrum with a miss. That's got to be over here. So we're attacking these enemy Fulcrums, which have violated our airspace as well. Interestingly enough. Meanwhile, our own Su-27 aircraft have now launched air-to-air missiles against one of these enemy MiG-29 Fulcrums. This fighter group of ours. We've got the advantage. I'm wondering, actually, let's take a look here. There's sensors. Oh, they do have the radars on. So the radar is active on these. That's why you've got this kind of cone-shaped radar giving away our position. We're also picking up feedback on a slot back N 19 Rubin radar, fire control air-to-air short-range radar from the enemy MiG-29s, but the enemy are not shooting back. They may not have been aware of our precise location and have not had a good lock fire control-wise. It's possible. It's hard to say. Again, we've got our own AWACS up in the air, which is guiding us in. You can see the enemy MiG-29 is taking evasive maneuvers. They are turning away from the incoming AA-10 Alamo missiles, which are turning to follow. We'll see if they hit. The first one was a miss. The second was a miss. So immediately upon missing, upon missing, our own aircraft have fired back. Now the enemy has shot a missile of their own, a couple of missiles of their own now. I wonder if we can direct... I don't know. So I guess we're going to see what happens here as the enemy has fired 2 missiles of their own against our aircraft. These are probably AA-10s as well. So you can see the missiles are crossing paths. Our own aircraft are turning away to take evasive maneuvers. Our missiles are still coming in. They ran blind. So a new contact, another enemy missile fired. We've fired another missile of ours, but when our aircraft turned away, our missiles self-destructed because they were out of radar contact for more than 5 seconds. So they're like the U.S. Sparrow missile. Where's this Alamo from? I'm confused. Why is there an Alamo all the way back here? So you can see as we keep detecting more and more enemy missiles, they're firing off quite a few at us. So the enemy missile failed or missed. Our defensive jammer failed, but the enemy missile missed as well. They have 3 more missiles incoming. We've got 1 outgoing. I don't know what all of these blank spots are, if these are like jamming or what, or if these represent our aircraft but we're just further out. So again, more and more missiles. This is becoming fast and furious. These don't have to pop up this way either. You can turn off these notifications so you don't get a notification every time a missile shows up. And we have now lost a fighter air... Whoa. So we've now lost one of our flankers. Weapon AA-10 is attacking, blah, 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 is maneuvering with agility, proficiency, die roll, hit. Russian loses points, has been fired. Squadron 1 destroyed. So if we go in here and we take a look at our losses and expenditures, Russia has now lost 1 Su-27 flanker. So the Armenians are being a bit difficult. Now we did strike back and we just destroy one of these enemy aircraft. This one's got to be close to bingo in terms of its munitions supply. It's got to be almost out. They've been firing a ton of missiles. Did we lose another aircraft? Gosh darn it, we lost 2 flankers. Okay. Well, that sucks. This air-to-air engagement was much less profitable than I had hoped. I figured out numbering them 2 to 1 would be ideal, and with air-to-air support. So we're firing off more missiles at the enemy. If we look at the scoring here also, we are now -100 because we've lost 2 fighter aircraft. Again, remember, our mission objective is to lose basically nothing. So the enemy is probably bingo, probably out of munitions and is turning away. Our aircraft are closing in at nearly max speed, our 2 remaining aircraft. The enemy probably has some short-range AA-11 Archers, which are like their Sidewinder, but hopefully is bugging out in a close to defenseless situation. And miss. Hit. Okay. So we fired off that, but that aircraft of ours is now bingo. As you can see here, this enemy fulcrum is turning away. It looks like we've launched some of our own missiles out against it. So we'll kind of zoom in down here. You can see the battle continues outside of... surprised the SA-4s have that kind of range. Outside of where we were fighting, we can see more aircraft are fighting down here in the south. That SA-4 missed, and that missed as well. So the long-range SAM shots, not all that effective. Now if we go back here to losses and expenditures, we will see that the enemy has now lost, or we have lost 2 Su-27 flankers. The enemy has lost 4 fulcrums, 4 Mig-29 fulcrums. And, yeah, so they fired off several more missiles as well. So we took out those enemy planes, but we're going to have to RTB these guys. Meanwhile, our strike package is kind of... I think we've got a few more fighters here we still haven't launched. I thought we did. Oh, I didn't launch these guys? Apparently I didn't. Okay, those guys will be airborne shortly. Meanwhile, these flankers are airborne already. Alright, so this fencer is our ECM, no, or ELINT. So I'm guessing the enemy might scramble a few more aircraft as a result of this little furball up north here. But I'm still going to send my guys south. Because apparently numbers don't mean jack. We're also going to get our fighters further south. And our air-to-air, or surface, whatever. So we can see these guys heading south. Whoa. Did I just pick up? Classified, fulcrum. So slot back. We're getting a whole lot of feedback here down in the south. I'm guessing the enemy's scrambling up fighter aircraft here in the south. Certainly looks like it. I guess we'll see what they do with it. And then our fullback here is our strike aircraft. They're going to take the inside route. They're going to fly along the no-fly zone here, which is this red area, and hopefully strike in here. But we'll see what the enemy does. You can see they're sending aircraft north. I don't know if we've got enough. I don't know if these guys are going to have the range to get south. But we'll soon find out as we scramble aircraft of our own. A massive air-to-air engagement is unfolding. Meanwhile, I think what we might want to do, we might want to scramble these guys. Got two groups of 2 MiG-29s off the ground here, maybe to engage these guys. They can't really fly over Georgia. Be nice if they could. Alright. We can't risk these guys. These guys are going to have to fall back. Fencers. These aircraft are too valuable to lose. ELINTs and ECM aircraft are just too valuable. Meanwhile, we can send our flankers in. So we're going to have these guys attack automatically again. I don't think I gave the right. And we'll see what happens here. So we've got the enemy coming in kind of staggered. Hopefully that's to our benefit. Actually, I might want to bring this guy south. And then sensors, we might want to turn this guy on. So we'll go ahead and do we have offensive? We don't need to give away his radar. But offensive ECM we're going to turn on. It might be too out of range, but I'm hoping the offensive ECM can provide support. So you can see here this jam means he's broadcasting out a signal jamming enemy aircraft. We've fired our own missiles. Missiles are closing in on this Mig-29. I should have had my jammer up, although I don't think it's in range of anything yet anyway. It's trying to turn and evade these missiles. At long range, I have to imagine missiles are not going to have a very high success rate. Oh, but we did shoot down that fulcrum. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and attack this enemy aircraft. So that was a good hit. Good hit, good hit. And we've got these aircraft up airborne. We're going to give these guys attack orders as well. I'm worried they're going to get a little bit too close in with these anti-air. But we'll see what happens there. Looks like they've scrambled 2 more fighters here. So we've got quite a large air engagement going on right now. As you can see here, we've engaged the enemy MiG. Fired off 2 more Alamo missiles. The jammer's probably way too far out here to be doing any good. As you can see here, we may have to abort this whole strike. You know, if I can destroy some more enemy aircraft, even if I have to abort the strike, it might be good in that it's going to retard the enemy air defenses enough to prevent them from being able to scramble too many aircraft against me here in the future. You can see this is primarily a large or a long-range engagement. Did we shoot down 2 enemy fulcrums? We might have shot down 2 more enemy fulcrums. If that's the case, that's going to be awesome. As we got these missiles closing in. Now that's more like it. Goodness, we're just murdering them now. That's the way it should be. Let's take a look at these losses. Let's see what we can see that we're claiming killing at least. So we've now shot down 6 enemy Mig-29 fulcrums. So that was 2 more, total 2 more. So we're up to 6 enemy aircraft. I don't know how many they have, but we're starting to get at them. You can see now we've launched missiles here against the enemy aircraft here in the south. And I think what we may have to do, it's probably wise at this point, is to RTB these guys until we can get a coherent escort up, because those Sus have used up the majority of their air-to-air long-range missiles, and I don't want to have to fight through the enemy long ranges just to get in range. So we're going to pull these guys out. Meanwhile, in the south, you can see these 2 enemy MiGs being engaged. Another SA-4 has been launched, so that wasn't a surface. It wasn't an air-to-air. It was a surface-to-air. So we're just wasting our surface-to-air missiles on these enemy fighters here in the south. As one of our groups fires off some air-to-air missiles, the other one's firing them off as well. Now we got to keep this in mind. We don't want to stray into the enemy surface-to-air missiles range. And yeah, I mean, this game offers a lot of tactical and interesting challenges to me personally. It may not look like a ton of fun, but for me it is. So I hope you're enjoying this so far. As you can see those air-to-air missiles turning in on the MiG, and we hit them. All right. So much more success here. And got another one. Damn, yes. Okay. Now we're going to quickly RTB these guys. So 2 more MiG-29s shot down. Again, the AI is probably being a little bit over-aggressive and kind of trying to hit us when maybe they shouldn't. We're engaging, one of the reasons we're having this success really is because we're engaging the enemy at the fringe of their own radar coverage, whereas we're still well within our own, especially with that AWACS aircraft up there. So that's part of the reason for our success, I believe. Now, these other aircraft up north should be airborne. We're going to go ahead and plot their courses south. I want to relocate them because I'm going to have to send these Sus back north to get more missiles because there's no spare missiles at Mosadok. We've got fuel, but no missiles. So the enemy Air Force has to be hurting. They've still got some MiG-29s, certainly. But, oh, sweet. The other thing my ELINT aircraft has done, which I didn't mention before, the ELINT aircraft I sent up has now been able to identify that the enemy SA-4 battery, a GANF battery, is down here in the south. Another SA-4 battery here, another SA-4 battery here. So we've located 3 enemy SA-4 batteries, which must have their radars on. And so this entire engagement, while despite losing 2 aircraft, has some benefit here. And if we take a look at the losses and expenditures, we've expended several air-to-air missiles, obviously, and we've lost, unfortunately, 2 Su-27 flankers. Although I wonder, they probably were able to bail out and get rescued by friendly forces because they're still flying over Russia. So flying over friendly territory, hopefully the pilots were able to get out and saved. But as you can see here, the enemy, the Azerbaijani Air Force, has now lost 8 MiG-29 Fulcrums, which is considerable when you consider that Azerbaijan is definitely not a huge nation with a large air force or anything like that. So this enemy MiG is really persistent here. What do we have left? Half our fuel. What about weapons? It's got an Alamo. It's got multiple Alamos. Maybe we should turn and fight. I guess we can. I mean, if they're gonna. Come on, guys. How do I? Out of weapon range. Bore sight limits don't matter. I don't think they matter. Come on. Oh. So I guess the enemy's going to turn and fight. That would have been an easy kill, I feel. Okay, so we've got our A-50 mainstay, which is still airborne, and we've got our ELINT aircraft, which is still airborne again. Those SA-4s gave away their positions. It doesn't look like we discovered any enemy SA-5s, though. So if we look at the scoring right now, it's still a disaster because remember, our only objectives are to destroy the SA-5s, 4s, and 10s in this mission. But we have considerably weakened the enemy Air Force. Whether it will be readily apparent or not is another question, although the enemy has ceased their cap patrol here in the north, it looks. After losing 2 more aircraft in the north, they've lost 4 out of that northern air base and 4 in the Caucasus region. So all right, so what we're going to do, we're going to order these guys to set a new home base. I don't know why it does that. It only seems to take the lead aircraft. Then I've got to RTB them, wait for the one to fly home, and then change that manually. That seems silly. But we'll go ahead and do that. RTB him. Set new home base. Set new home base. RTB. You can play the game a lot more hands-off than I'm playing as well, just to keep that in mind. I'm playing this game pretty hands-on. And also keep in mind the game has a vast and complex naval warfare element to it as well. So the ELINT and the AWACS can loiter for quite a while. So we didn't get any of our strikes off. Let's see where we're at as far as the base. So these guys are totally out of ammo. They're reserved, they're available, but they have no weapons, I guess. We're going to launch these two Sus because they're out of ammo entirely. We're going to fly them north to that airbase they originated from because they do have extra ammo up north. Be nice. I don't know if the game... Well, I know it does have cargo aircraft. I don't know if it lets you redeploy aircraft or not. Why are these flankers? Oh, they're still 20 minutes from being ready. So I guess... Why is this fulcrum chasing me? Dumb. Are they going to keep sending aircraft up against my AWACS? I mean, it's a big, juicy target with, what, dozens of people on board, but you've already lost 8 aircraft. That's got to be at least like a fifth of your fleet, your entire air force. You're fighting Russia. You can't afford to lose a fifth of your fleet in the first day of your air fleet. Do we have any aircraft ready? I don't think we do. Nope. So we're not going to have anything that we can really do anything with, unless they're sitting with air-to-ground munitions, which is possible, although unlikely. I think we're going to give this AWACS group abreast. We'll go ahead and have this guy, the ELINT, plane as well, RTB. Get him out of the air before the enemy shows up. We'll see what the enemy aircraft does. You can see as soon as the AWACS went down, we lost at least some of our picture on them. And we're 2 days and 8 hours into this campaign. Or no, with 2 days and 8 hours left in this campaign. We've got flankers, but they're all maintenance. That's one thing I don't get about the scenarios. Why do you list aircraft if they're not available to you? Alright, so these guys are ready. We're going to launch them, fly them north, get more weapons. Plot. If I could have flown a whole aircraft worth of weapons south, then I probably would have done that. Then I could have just resupplied Mozadoc Air Base. As it is, I didn't. Select new home base. RTB. And all right, so these guys are going to fly up here where there are extra air-to-air missiles, so they can reload and rearm. And there we go. So I still want to continue my mission of destroying enemy radar installations, I think. I still don't know where the SA-10s are, and I think taking out more radars is going to be the key to figure them out. They don't seem too active, though. We've had quite a bit of fighting down here, and we haven't had any enemy surface-to-air missiles launched against us. Did they launch another bogey? Are they dumb? 350 knots, 40,000 feet? They trying to just die? Is that what they're trying to do? Get their whole Air Force shot down? The AI I guess I can't get too cocky. You know, I have shot down a few, but it looks like one thing that I will notice that they've already done is the enemy AI has apparently reduced its, you can see here the enemy only has one aircraft that we can see in a cap formation. So that's interesting to me if the enemy has reduced its combat air patrol on this northern part of its border to only one fighter, probably because of the fighter aircraft it's already lost. As you can see, this group of ours is closing range, firing its missiles. And again, it got its missiles off on the enemy before the enemy probably got them off on us because it had a better idea of where the enemy was. So we had our radar off, so if the enemy didn't have any surface or any ground-based radars telling them where we were at, it wouldn't have been able to know we were there until, essentially it was too late until we were firing our missiles. Now those missiles missed, so we're firing a second batch as we close in here. So the enemy has fired its own missiles. Vampire, vampire, vampire. Miss, failure, failure. All right, so this is going to quickly change into a different type of fight now. As the engagement switches to more of a dogfight. We fire off our archers. The enemy, however, is firing off his missiles as well. So now the fight kind of turns into a knife fight. Our aircraft fire their archers and turn away. The archers are capable of guiding themselves. Hit it, hit it, hit it. No! Miss, 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 miss. Yes, okay. Good, good. So the enemy missiles missed. We fired off our archers. Did we not? Really? This wasn't that inconclusive in an engagement? No. Turn and fight. You'd better know what you're doing. I was on RTB. Yes. I don't care that you were on R... What do you mean? That was kind of cool. You better know what you're doing. I was on RTB. Yeah, I know you were on RTB, jerk. I wanted down that enemy aircraft. You should be listening to me, not flying back to your base. All right, let's launch these guys as a group. We used all our missiles. That guy must be good. We didn't hit anything. Okay. So the enemy has launched 2 fighter aircraft to the north, most likely fighter aircraft. Okay, so we fired off our surface air or air-to-air missiles and destroyed. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to RTB these guys. And we're going to, can we throttle them up? And we're going to throttle them up. Get the heck out of here. Oops, you're flying too slow. Again, you don't have to control the throttle. I'm just choosing to. So bug out, guys. Might be able to draw these guys over our surface-to-air missile shield. You can see the enemy launched another fight. Man, they've still got quite a few fighters here. They've got 4 in the air right now. We lost, what, 9? We're slowly whittling them down. It's becoming a war of attrition. We've still only lost 2 aircraft of our own, too, so that's good. We're getting a better kill ratio. As the enemy scrambles more of their aircraft. We could launch more of our own aircraft. We could keep whittling them down if we want. Keep this as a war of attrition. One aircraft at a time, right, guys? Why don't we do that? Because it looks like they're pulling those other aircraft back. Those were probably scrambles. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Closing in. There we go. Another kill. Unit orders. RTB. What are those things that are moving around a lot in here? SA-4s? Well, they are surface-based things. So the enemy probably scrambled and raced to us on afterburners and now has to return to base. We shot down another enemy aircraft. So we're up to 10 Mig-29 Fulcrums shot down. We're slowly whittling them away. Also using up our magazines. I don't know how many more missiles. Oh, we've got, what, 60 more missiles? So, doing okay there. And, yeah, let's head north. All right. So those guys need to rearm. I guess I've got to order them to do that. Air-to-air. Number available. They've got air-to-air missiles, don't they? No AA-10s, really? Standard cap, 4 AA-10 Alamos, mid-range SARS. I've got the long-range ones. Okay. Well, I guess we're just going to have to go with whatever this is. Oh, we can't do that because we don't have... We can do those. We can't reload as frickin' air-to-air? Well, that seems silly. It doesn't matter if we don't have a full loadout. We can just... I thought we had more missiles than that. Probably have missiles in the south, I would think. Let's see here. We got a mid-range one down there. Let's see what we've got here. Su-27 flankers, they're all ready. That's ready. That'll be ready in 3 hours. 3 hours? So much for that strike. What about up here at Engels? Where are we here? Those two guys are always ready. These guys still have 5 more hours. So I think what we may do is we may plan a more sophisticated and long, more thought-out strike here on the south. Those initial strikes didn't pan out quite how we wanted them, but we did accomplish some goals. We seriously reduced the enemy air force. I have no idea what the enemy has, but I'm going to guess we reduced the air force by at least a quarter. So while the enemy still can scramble and engage us, their cap is probably weaker. Also going to be easier for us to hit them with cruise missiles, as they have fewer aircraft to scramble against us, and hopefully would scramble fewer. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do next round, or not next round, but next video, this is a bit of a longer one, is I'm going to still do that planned strike here against the radar site here. Meanwhile, I'm also going to launch some cruise missile strikes against the radar here and here. So we'll launch one bomber up with 2 high-speed cruise missiles we haven't used any of yet against these 2 radar tin sites. And then we'll also go ahead and launch that other strike here. And hopefully we'll meet with some success in our ground strikes, and again, further reducing the enemy's ability to resist. But until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching this rather long video, and until next time, I'm out.